Hello, music fans. I listened to 11 new albums that came out on October 25th, 2024 in metal, rock, and prog. So I want to talk about them in my order of preference. They were all good, but if you want to know which ones to check out, watch this video. Let's start it off with Iotunn and their album Kinship. This is the second album by this Danish band, and it's progressive metal with melodic death metal and power metal influences, even a little bit of black metal influences in there, I'd say. And I thought their debut album, Access All Worlds from 2021, was very good. The singles I heard from the new one Ahead of Time are also very good, and I was really hoping they'd up their game since their first album, which I already enjoyed quite a bit. And luckily they did. The opening track is almost a 14-minute prog epic called Kinship Elegiac. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's just an amazing song. The rest of the album continues this amazingness. I've only heard it twice so far as of right now, because I like to put these videos up quick and shortly after release before I spend too much time on them, just to give my first impressions. But as of right now, I think it's just a near masterpiece in my top 20 albums of the year so far. If you like progressive metal, you definitely need to hear Iotunn's Kinship. Next one I want to talk about is Better Lovers with Highly Irresponsible, the debut album by this American band, and this is metalcore with mathcore, southern metal, post-hardcore, and hardcore punk influences. And the last one I mentioned by Iotunn, I'm calling a near masterpiece. This one's like right on the border between my excellent tier and near masterpiece. This is an American band, Better Lovers, formed in 2023 after the dissolution of Every Time I Die. So they're often labeled as a supergroup because the band features members formerly of Every Time I Die. They feature Jordan Buckley, Stephen Michichi, and Clayton Goose Holyoke. I don't know how to say his last name there. And it features Greg Puciato from the Dillinger Escape Plan on vocals, as well as a current member of Fit for an Autopsy, who their band might be coming later in this video, Will Putney. If you're a fan of Every Time I Die, you'll love Better Lovers. It sounds mostly like Every Time I Die, but of course it has a bit of the Dillinger Escape Plan in there because of Greg Puciato's involvement. This album is, like I said, right on the edge between excellent and near masterpiece to me after my first two listens. I definitely need to listen to it more to decide for sure. My favorite tracks after two listens are Drowning in a Burning World and A White Horse Covered in Blood. And this is just one of the best albums of the year for headbanging and moshing. It's got breakdowns, but not like the deathcore style breakdowns about how low you can and how low and slow you can get your guitars to go while making weird animal noise screams over them. These are more fun, kind of uplifting almost breakdowns, but more like still chaotic and dissonant and more in that hardcore punk style. They don't rely on low guitars. Instead, they just have awesome riffs with interesting syncopated rhythms, dissonant, chaotic panic chords played on their guitars. Just those nasty chords where there's notes that are semitones away and like tritones, but also some southern metal swagger and groove to it. If that sounds good to you, check out Better Lovers and Highly Irresponsible. Third album in today's video is Devin Townsend with his album PowerNerd. This is, I think, the 22nd album by this Canadian musician. He's very prolific. It's kind of more of a straightforward hard rock album. It's got some progressive metal, ambient, alternative influences in there, of course. And Devin Townsend is just an amazing Canadian vocalist and guitarist. I'm going to put this release in my excellent tier. He's made so many different albums and so many different styles over the years, ranging from extreme metal to prog rock to ambient noise to new age music to country. He has songs that take inspiration from musical theater and all sorts of unexpected places. That's in his back catalog. This one's a lot more straightforward. Now, I love most of what he's put out. I enjoyed the 3 early singles from this, so I was really looking forward to it. And he's my favorite vocalist in rock and metal right now, so I'll listen to anything that Devin Townsend's involved with. This album continues his string of amazing vocal performances. The sound of the album overall is a lot simpler, more accessible, straightforward than some of his more complex and progressive music. It's got more of a party rock vibe and a focus on catchy and accessible melodies. There's still some heaviness in some of the harder riffs, but the vast majority of the vocals are clean vocals. I'd say this would be a pretty easy album for people who aren't into anything too extreme or anything too progressive to get into. I prefer his more progressive works and some of his more extreme material personally, but I still really enjoy this. I think I like it just a little more than Devin's last album, Lightwork. It doesn't reach the heights of some of my favorite albums by him, though, like Empath, Transcendence, Deconstruction, Ghost, Epic Cloud, Key, or Addicted. It's still excellent and a contender for my year-end top 30, but I'll be honest with Devin, I was kind of hoping for something that might land in my top 5 of the year. So I do have some moderate disappointment with the direction he chose on this. Still excellent, though. He perfectly executed what he was going for. My favorite tracks on first listen were Ruby Quaker, which stands out from the rest of the track list by using more acoustic guitars and being much sillier and singing about how he loves coffee. So I thought that was fun. And then Jainism was my favorite of the 3 singles, but I also like Gratitude and PowerNerd, the other 2 singles. Gratitude is more of the slower, softer ballad song that's reminiscent of Spirits Will Collide from Empath. That sounds good to you. Check out Devin Townsend's PowerNerd. Now we're getting into the very good tier. I've got 5 albums to cover here. Von Hertzen Brothers released In Murmuration, the 9th album by this Finnish band. This is, I guess, progressive rock with some hard rock, psychedelic rock, alternative rock, space rock, art rock, folk, pop, all mixed in there. Pretty accessible. I thought their album from 2022, Red Alert and the Blue Forest, was very good. I think that 2022 one might just be a little better than this one. But this one's close. It's almost as good as that. Also very good. The singles I heard from this one were very catchy and accessible for people who want to hear that catchy, accessible music that still has the progressive spirit. The whole album continues in this way with excellent vocal harmonies, interesting songwriting, and then the last song, Wait For Me, is beautiful, probably my favorite on first listen. Next up is Gaerea with their album Coma, also my very good tier. The 4th album by this Portuguese band, and it's atmospheric black metal with post-metal, shoegaze, and death metal influences. I thought their last album, Mirage, from 2022 was very good, so that's what made me check this out. And this continues that sound, so if you like their last album, you'll probably like this. It's more straightforward than most of the black metal music I like, I tend to prefer the more progressive and avant-garde black metal music. This is a bit progressive in terms of songs that take you on a journey, and it's got a lot of good atmospheric vibes, but I wouldn't really call it truly progressive black metal. Just well-performed atmospheric black metal. If you like the sounds of that, check out Coma by Gaerea. Next up is a deluxe edition of American Idiot, the 20th anniversary deluxe edition of this album by Green Day, an album that I love, and the album itself, the original, would probably be, sitting on the border between my excellent and near masterpiece tier, one of my favorite punk rock albums ever. Now, this is punk rock with pop, alternative rock. It's kind of a rock opera, even like some prog rock influences with atypical song structures, epic song lengths, and not super epic, not like anything over 15 minutes, but like they do 9-minute tracks that have multi-parts and songs that flow into each other in kind of a rock opera vibe. So obviously American Idiot, I think most people are aware of this album if you know anything about pop punk, and even just mainstream radio listeners around that time in 2004, you couldn't escape this song. These songs like Boulevard of Broken Dreams, Wake Me Up When September Ends, American Idiot, Holiday, they were all pretty big songs. Now this is a super deluxe box set, which includes 15 unreleased demos, a 15-song concert, and 15 tracks that were released as B-sides and bonus tracks. And I wouldn't normally include a box set on my list to check out, but I was just curious to hear the demos and B-sides more so than the live stuff. And I'm really happy it got released on Spotify because I didn't want to pay the price tag to buy a physical copy of this. I looked at it, it's pretty expensive. But the B-sides and the demos here are just a joy to listen to. The live stuff is all right too as a live album. All in all, it's very good, and I'd say I even enjoy the B-sides and demos from the American Idiot album sessions more than the vast majority of even Green Day's proper studio albums. Like if they took the B-sides and demos from this and made an album, it would be one in my top few Green Day albums, American Idiot being my favorite, and these B-sides are better than a lot of their other full-length albums. So if you like Green Day, and in particular, if you like the American Idiot sound that they had, then definitely check out the B-sides and demos from this 20th anniversary deluxe edition, and check out some of the live stuff just for nostalgia of the original American Idiot album. Next up is Entheos with An End to Everything. This is an EP. It's technical death metal with progressive metal, gent, and deathcore influences. And I love their album from 2023, Time Will Take Us All. Amazing female vocals here by Janie Crabb. She can scream intensely, sing beautifully as well. I really look forward to hearing their next full-length album, and I would maybe have rated this even higher if there was more material, but this is just a nice short punch in the face, heavy release to keep this band in your mind. Check it out if you're a fan of Ginger or Vintersea or bands like that with powerful female harsh vocalists who also know how to sing great melodies. That's Entheos with their album or their EP, An End to Everything. Next up is the last one in my very good tier for today before I move on to my final three in my good tier. So this is Fit for an Autopsy. They released The Nothing That Is, the 7th album by this American band, and it's deathcore with post-metal, progressive metal influences in there. And I thought their last album, Oh What the Future Holds from 2022, was very good. I was hoping this album would step it up a notch further. The single Hostage is just a great heavy track. It also has great clean vocal hooks mixed in between intense deathcore, harsh vocals, and chugging riffs. Great guitar playing on the song Hostage as well. That was probably my favorite track. The rest of the album gives us more of what you'd expect from Fit for an Autopsy, just intense deathcore songs with some progressive and atmospheric moments. Mostly brutal, harsh vocals here, but some melodic, clean vocal moments. It's all very good, but just not quite as strong as what they were doing on their previous release, Oh What the Future Holds from 2022. For me, on first listen, that's how I felt. I just feel like the previous one was a little stronger, but still very good deathcore music. If you like deathcore, they're up there as one of the better bands in the genre, so I don't see why you wouldn't like this. If you don't like deathcore at all, then you probably won't like it at all either, so just avoid it. That's Fit for an Autopsy with The Nothing That Is. Now we're getting into my good tier. These ones didn't quite cross over to very good. First one I want to talk about is the Pronoia Sessions by Atreyu. This is an acoustic kind of reimagining. Maybe it's an EP. It's fairly short. It's 8 reimagined greatest hits by Atreyu and 2 covers. So it's kind of this acoustic rock renditions of these metalcore, post-hardcore, hard rock, alternative metal songs, and 2 covers. These are very well performed acoustic versions of some of their best songs. I just put this in my good tier because it's not really like new original material. Kind of hard to call it very good or essential. but it was a great listen. Like, I really enjoyed my time listening to it. They include some of their best songs, like Becoming the Bull, X's and O's, Right Side of the Bed, and The Theft, which are four of my favorite reimagined tracks. Then they cover Audio Slaves Like a Stone. They do that acoustic, do a great job. They also cover Last Dance with Mary Jane by Tom Petty and do that soft and acoustic and beautifully too. But is this an essential Atreyu release? No, it's not as strong as their run of 5 albums that they had. For me, my favorite ones are the 5 albums from 2004's The Curse to 2015's Long Live. But I honestly enjoy this release better than anything they've released since 2015's Long Live. Perhaps it's because this hits nostalgia, because they remake some of their earlier songs that I love. But I also think their newer material since 2015 just misses some of the songwriting charm they had before. But if you like Atreyu and like some of their classic songs and want to hear acoustic versions, then you definitely have to check out the Pronoia sessions by Atreyu. Next up is Kings of Mercia with their album Battle Scars, the second album by this American band. This is hard rock with heavy metal, some progressive influences. This band features Jim Entheos of Fate's Warning on guitar, and also the amazing drummer Simon Phillips. And their first album was good as well, but honestly I was hoping for better given the talent level of the individuals in the band. I found the music was a little too straightforward hard rock given their talents and didn't really bring anything interesting to the table or push any boundaries, but it was well executed and performed. Unfortunately, their second album is just more of the same, still good, well performed and produced, but nothing too interesting, not up to the standard that I think they could do with the talent level of the people in the band. But if you like straightforward hard rock music, still worth a listen. Check out Kings of Mercia with Battle Scars. Lastly, I want to talk about Tears for Fears with their album Songs from a Nervous Planet. This is more of a live album, and I don't usually talk about live albums. This is a group from the UK. It's pop rock with synth pop, new wave, art rock, and progressive rock influences. They're a very well-known group, so I think most people have heard at least some of their songs. I don't usually talk about live albums, but since Songs for a Nervous Planet by Tears for Fears features new studio tracks, I figured I'd check it out. It also features a lot of live recordings from them on tour. So the live performances feature some of their hit songs like Shout, Head Over Heels, Everyone Wants to Rule the World, Mad World, and more. It spans all eras of the band, from The Hurting to The Tipping Point and beyond. And then the new songs that they have here, they're decent, but nothing mind-blowing. The live stuff as well is well done, but also nothing mind-blowing. I respect them. I like some of their hits, but I never really got into them. I just checked this out based out of curiosity, and it was decent, but not something I think I'll ever listen to again, given how much more interesting music there is out there. But if you're a fan of Tears for Fears and you like a lot of those hits and you want to hear new stuff from them, I think it's definitely worth a listen. So check out Songs for a Nervous Planet by Tears for Fears. And that's it for my first impressions of these 11 new releases in metal, rock, prog that came out on October 25th, 2024. Hope you found something in this video to check out and that you enjoy it. Let me know if you've listened to any of these albums, and let me know your thoughts on them down below in the comments. And is there anything else recently that came out that you think I'll enjoy? Let me know as well. I like to check out new stuff. And stay tuned for our next video. I'll talk about, actually I might post my album release radar for November, so that I can talk about the albums that I plan to listen to in November. So you can follow my channel if you want to hear my first impressions on those. And then I'll probably give my top 10 favorite albums that came out in October 2024. So stay tuned for that. Peace out.